Kia ora, everyone, and look, it's always a privilege to be here in the warmth of Blenheim, and a big thank you for everyone in attendance today, and also to Dom and his team for Transport New Zealand for putting on the event, and also the Chamber of Commerce. It's very much appreciated, and it's great for Bluebridge to be able to spend a couple of minutes on the stage as well. We certainly appreciate the importance of the topic for the industry and for our customers, and it's great to hear the updates and perspectives of all speakers today. It's a bit of a speed date, appreciate, so I think it'll be well and truly done in 10 minutes, and please feel free to ask any questions at the end. So, of course, today's topic is a little bit about managing demand through to 2029, and while I respect the next few years we require some very careful management, the topic predates now and will continue well past 2029. I guess the horizons we consider when thinking about capacity are much broader than just the 4-year window in front of us, and the development plans of Interislander as well. So Bluebridge has spent several years laying the groundwork to boost capacity on Cook Strait, and we've proven that we're prepared to invest where it makes sense to do so. This business's history has been built on replacing vessels as we've grown, from the family ownership days to our current shareholding. And in the last 3 years, we've replaced our fleet with larger, newer, faster, and near-identical vessels. First with the acquisition of Connemara in 2023, and then the entry of Livia last year. The alignment of the vessels is a particular benefit when planning and managing our freight loads, and provides capacity across the days which we may not have had previously. This significant fleet investment runs into hundreds of millions of dollars and has delivered a substantial increase to freight capacity across Cook Strait. What's more, we've been able to act quite quickly if we need to, and the arrival of Livia into service was completed in just 6 months from the date of board approval being granted, and that's something we're immensely proud of. So we believe the current fleet leaves us in a really good position, but it'd be flippant to suggest that the capacity won't require careful management over the coming years. However, it's important to note that there is capacity today, particularly on the Livia's schedule and at either end of the week. And our team, Ed and Jared here today, and the others, are always prepared to work with our customers for space on sailings that work for them. Of course, the middle of the week and certain sailing time gates are close to capacity, but this is not a new phenomenon. These have always been the highest demand periods for freight, and like any other transport operator, we're subject to these defined demand spikes. So some level of flexibility may be required to find sailings that suit. What we want to do is work with our operators to look at all sailing options across the week, and that's not to suggest that they have to uproot an entire business model to fit around the ferry service, far from it. But we can look at ways to make a different sailing option more enticing if it's in an off-peak period. In addition, we can continue to look at overall capacity on our vessels and whether we can carry more freight safely. Our planning team and operational teams are focused on optimising the loads we carry and testing our freight unit limits in the turnaround times we have available. This includes the composition of freight vehicles carried and how we manage them in conjunction with the passenger demand that we have. Again, these vessels give us more options than we've had previously. So as Alan's mentioned, obviously around dry docking, it'd be remiss not to talk about it and managing demand and not to acknowledge the impact of dry docks. And we certainly acknowledge that they'll place greater pressure on the space than they have before. We do work under protocols with Interislander to understand each other's plans as far in advance as possible. And it's safe to say that it's never been in anyone's interest to have overlapping dry dock windows or other prolonged outages. Bluebridge has no dry dock scheduled this year, and we're mindful that plans will need to be put in place for when we do dry dock next year and the year after that. All options will remain on the table to offset potential capacity loss. And while finding replacement tonnage in the New Zealand context for a short-term basis is very, very challenging due to our lack of geographic proximity, we won't discount this option either. As highlighted, we've done our best over the last 4 years to limit the loss of capacity during dry docks, and please rest assured that we're incredibly mindful of wanting to secure supply for our customers during these periods. So I guess the question you may want to know is, will Bluebridge continue to invest as we've done? The answer is an unequivocal yes. We always have and we always will. I guess the only caveat here is providing that it is commercially sustainable to do so and will meet our shareholders' expectations of a return. We have to act commercially. That's our job. Again, we certainly believe that the current fleet leaves us in a great position, but it would never pay to stand still. And clearly we have to account for and respond to the normal growth in the marketplace. And the ongoing demand, I guess, pressures that are on Cook Strait and any other potential commercial opportunity in a competitive marketplace. Of course, the operations also extend much wider than the ships that traverse Cook Strait, and investment in the port side will be just as critical, and the security to operate is only possible with strong relationships with our port partners. So as Reece has mentioned, over the last 12 months, we worked very, very hard with PMZ to agree a significant long-term extension to our lease agreement, which lays a fantastic foundation to build on shoreside presence here in Marlborough. And while we appreciate PMZ will have a lot on their plate over the next few years managing Interislander's build, we certainly look forward to working closely with them to ensure our assets continue to be fit for our customers' needs into the future. So again, just to surmise, we've invested in the fleet to manage capacity now and into the future. We're acutely aware of the impact the outages and we'll work with our customers to minimise any of these. And we're also very open-minded about future investment in the ship and the shore. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Will. And a question for you. In fact, I think this question goes to both vessel operators. Will the ferries be used in the event of an earthquake to relocate people out of Picton if they are trapped for a significant period of time?
Very good question. I have to admit I haven't given it too much thought. Obviously, I appreciate the people of Picton and we want to do whatever we can to support them. Look, I think as operators remain very open-minded. We certainly had, I remember, well, I wasn't around the 2016 earthquake in Wellington, but in Kokura, the vessels have been used before in slightly different, in a different sense. So again, I'd just say we remain open-minded without being too specific on the details.
And I can see to whoever's asked that question, Alan Piper from Kiwi Rail's nodding in agreement. So that takes it. Yeah. Otherwise, thank you, Will.
Excellent.
That's great.